Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Breakfast with Blaha. And today we're going to talk about growth hormone. What are we having today here, by the way? Greek yogurt. See, I don't have the big container because I'm mixing stuff with it. Frozen walnuts, frozen blueberries. Mixed all together, tastes great. Great nutrition profile. But speaking of which, let's talk about growth hormone. And this is one I need to bring up because we have too many people who worry excessively about their body's production of certain hormones that they don't have the ability to largely control, number one. And number two, they don't have any meaningful impact on the results. And when we talk about bro science, this is a perfect example. One of the biggest examples you see is when people talk about growth hormone production in the context of a healthy individual. Right? This is bro science because there's no reason whatsoever to believe that you can manipulate your growth hormone production, at least over a 24-hour period of time. Number two, there's no reason to believe that at the levels the body produces naturally, that there is any meaningful impact. So in other words, the cliff notes of this, if you are a drug-free lifter, you do not benefit in any way from even knowing that HGH exists, right? There is no benefit to you, practically speaking, to even know the word or to ever think about it at all. It's a complete waste of your time. And get into a couple of reasons why. Number one, we'll get into why it doesn't matter in the body. Number two, we can also discuss the difference between people who use it versus people who are trying to produce it. All right, as far as producing it goes, you have no control. If you're deficient in it, if you were deficient in it, you need to see a medical doctor. They'll get you a prescription. Your insurance will cover it, save you a lot of money because you're not going to source it on your own. I don't think most people out there don't realize how expensive it really is. This is the single most expensive substance that athletes use by far. And I mean, nothing else is even close. Okay. So if you're deficient in it, go see your doctor. Now, I can almost guarantee you're not. Not even 1% of the population ever has to worry about this. It's something like 1 in 50,000 or 100,000 people. So odds are I don't even have any subscribers who actually have this issue. All right, you can't manipulate it. In other words, people say, well, I fast. I do intermittent fasting and it keeps my growth hormone production up. So what? Ask you a question. Do you honestly think you're gaining muscle during your fasted window? Oh, really? I mean, people who do a 16-hour fast every day. Do you think you're maximizing muscle growth? And if anything, we know you're going to gain less muscle by doing this. If you do a 16 or an 18-hour fast every day and then eat in a small window, that can be useful for fat loss. Why? Because you'll eat less total calories. If you're trying to maximize muscle growth, you need to be eating protein more frequently. And by more frequently, I mean, at least 3 major servings a day is probably ideal. You can get away with 2 big ones if you snack a lot in between. And there's a nice trickle of protein. But in that case, you're probably not going more than 12 hours, 13 hours without a big meal of protein. Okay? You're not maximizing muscle growth. You're not even maximizing fat loss because we found in studies that fasting doesn't cause more fat loss. In fact, training fasted and fasted cardio is consistently shown in studies to cause less fat loss. People say, well, why do all these bodybuilders do it? Well, because they can get away with it and they're using lots of fat-burning drugs during their fasted window. Well, that probably matters. We don't have any research on it, but it seems to get good results. But these guys are taking multiple drugs that help with fat burning and doing it during their fasted window so that they're getting potentially better nutrient partitioning, losing less muscle. But you burn less calories when you do fasted training. It's been found in studies you burn less calories. And even if your growth hormone elevates during that window, it means it drops even lower during your feed window. And then the end result, you produce the same amount over 24 hours. Produce the same amount. meaning you're not changing your net amount for the day, but what you are doing is negatively impacting your muscle protein synthesis. Same thing people talk about training. Well, how much do I release from training if I train this way? Well, they'll put the same thing with testosterone. We've had a meta-analysis that looked at this. You know what they found? There was no correlation between the amount of testosterone or growth hormone released from training and the amount of muscle you gain. There's no correlation at all. There's zero relationship. They found a correlation with cortisol. And it's funny because all these people will worry about that and they'll say, oh, I want to blunt my cortisol production. Well, the meta-analysis, and I covered this like 7 years ago on this channel originally, when this first came out. But they found that elevated cortisol post-workout was associated with more muscle growth. There was a direct association. There wasn't a correlation. Now, we don't know that it causes it. It could just be that when you cause enough tissue trauma or do enough workload to generate maximum hypertrophy that the result of that is the cortisol, or we could argue that the cortisol response may balance back out and create a larger anabolic signal after it drops back down. We don't really know for sure which it is, but it's correlated with it at least. Growth hormone is not. So people say, well, why do people take it? Well, look how much they take. Okay, look how much they're taking. A lot of people are taking 5, 6, 8, 10 times the amount the body can produce naturally. And here's what they found in studies. That doesn't cause muscle growth either, at least on its own. Okay, we don't have studies to look at this because it's never been tested, but we know that generally the people who see results from taking it are usually using exogenous androgens with it too. There does appear to be a synergy there. It has never been studied in the lab. But people who are in the normal testosterone range that their body is making on its own, using $1,000, $1,000+ worth of growth hormone per month, didn't cause any muscle growth. It was zero in the studies that have looked at it. None. Then people say, well, what about fat burning? The fat burning effects of growth hormone are very, very, very mild. And again, we're not talking about in the levels your body can produce. We're talking about super physiological amounts that people are putting into their body. Okay, growth hormone seems to potentially, when used in large amounts, have some connective tissue benefits, some minor fat burning benefits, potentially some skin tightening benefits. But again, this is not in the amounts that you produce. But it seems to enhance people's physiques, the appearance of it slightly quickly because of the way it shifts around water balance and tightens skin and things. Okay, there does seem to be some merit there. Again, anecdotally. Don't have research on it, it's just what people observe and physique competitors who use it. Okay, that's what's going on. But again, look how much they're taking, and it still doesn't cause any muscle growth. And again, when we look at it in studies, so why are you worrying about this? There is no reason at all for you to care about this, of how much your body is making and trying to manipulate it. Because the benefits are so small for the same reasons that people are doing it when compared with people who are using large amounts of it, who are spending a lot of money. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.